Okay, stocks are crashing, guys. Here we go. And you know what that means? I'm buying more. We're going to break down what I'm buying as stocks are crashing. That's the main purpose of this video. We're going to go over some stocks, ETFs I'm buying, and overall, guys, what my plans are right now. As the VIX just went up 30-40% on the day, as every index in the US market went down 3-4-5%, and they actually went down even more after the bell. We have to cover everything here, right? We're not going to go too much into the news per se. We all know what is going on, why this is happening. I want to talk more about what I'm doing, right? How I'm reacting to this. So let's dive into it, man. SPY yesterday went down 2.7% on the day, but it bled another 1% in the aftermarket. We got down to 646 after closing at 653, and that's after we got some news after the bell about more tariffs on China, which kind of spooked the markets more. But then we got news that Trump is going to actually meet with the president of China now in South Korea, which originally earlier in the day on Friday, we thought that meeting was off. So then the market actually rallied a bit. You guys can see after SPY went down to 646, we saw a little bit of a rally, but still, man, we're getting crushed. Stocks across the board are getting nailed. And when QQQ's down 4% on the day, SPY's down 3%, individual stocks are getting hit even more, right? So QQQ, look, it closed at 590 and it went all the way to 582. We dumped another 1.4% after the bell there. Very big down move, but then again, it recovered. But yeah, volatility's up, and this is the time to buy, right? We were covering the VIX weeks ago saying, guys, we're at 14, 15 points on the VIX, 16 points. We're super low. Get ready, and lo and behold, here we are. And obviously, we can't plan when the VIX is going to spike or when we're going to get a catalyst that will spike the VIX, but you should always be on your tippy toes, especially if you're kind of a trader, a more active investor. You should be on your tippy toes when the VIX is at 12, 13, 14, and that would be a decent time to consider maybe some puts on some stocks that are just ridiculous, way too frothy. And when the VIX then gets to like 25, 30, that would be a decent time to be like, all right, maybe I should get into some other stocks long now, buy the dip here, there. I'm not saying, buy this stock or that stock, just in general, right? So the VIX now is at 21 after being at 14, 15, 16 for a while. And there could be some more juice in the VIX. Honestly, if this thing falls, if the overall stock market falls on Monday, Tuesday, which I think there's a decent chance potentially that happens, we might get a 25 VIX. And at that point, yeah, that's going to be pretty hot in the short term. And you can't really predict what's going to happen with the VIX. Who knows what's going to happen with Trump, China, what's going to happen next week. But it's interesting times, to say the least. And I think, yeah, if it gets to 25, that'd be a decent time to potentially buy some long positions, some dips, right? So let's go over now what I'm looking to do. Right off the bat, I'm buying more VTI, right? This is the bread and butter for my long-term portfolios, right? I think I own this in like two or three different accounts. I think it's three. And I buy this, man. I buy this all the time, especially when we see dips like this. Because overall, man, I'm long America. I'm long the United States of America. Even if things get rocky in the short term, things might seem bleak over the next 5 years, I think things are going to do. I think we're going to be the dominant country long term. Call me crazy. Call me somebody that's, blind to the... Or not even blind. Call me. I got some pride. In the U.S., I think we're gonna be that country for the long term, and it's kind of like the Warren Buffett approach, where he's like, never bet against America, bet long term, or be long America. So when I'm buying VTI, it's like I'm long America, and why wouldn't I be? I live here. I'm gonna raise kids here. My business is here, so. I mean, that's not a reason. It's not like if I was in Japan, would I be buying Japanese stocks? Not necessarily. So that argument maybe not It might not be the best, but you get the point, right, guys? You get the point. America, at the end of the day, is the best economy, strongest economy, national powerhouse of the world. It is what it is. And I so happen to be here, have a business here, and I'm going to invest in VTI. You know what I mean? So I'm buying more VTI on this dip. It's down from 332 to about 321. So not the craziest of dips, 3.5%, but it's nice. It's a dip, and I'm looking to add more. Not all in or not anything crazy, but I'm going to be buying some more VTI, more than my usual, weekly buy that I do a VTI, because we're seeing a sizable dip, a decent dip. So I'm going to add more VTI. I'm also going to buy more Amazon. So Amazon I was actually buying before this crash. And notice how Amazon stock, guys, hasn't really fallen much. We dumped 5% on Friday, which is a pretty decent drop. But before Friday, before we got this news that dropped a lot of stocks, Amazon was at 218. I mean, look, it was at 218, 220, and we closed at 216 on Friday. So it's like, all right, did we really fall that much? Not really at all. So that goes to show the strength in Amazon stock in the face of this volatility, in the face of the overall market falling, which means we might be near a bottom. This might not go much lower. That's the reality. And sure, if the overall market drops more, Amazon could go to 200, 205, sure. It could go to 190 for all we know if things get really ugly. But I just don't see it coming much lower here. That's the reality. And I'm buying more. I bought more, again, before this drop at like 218, 220. Now we're at 216. I'm looking at a little bit more, especially if it slips, which I don't think it's going to slip a lot more than what it has. But if it does, I'll be buying before earnings, which are on the 30th of October, coming up here in less than 3 weeks. So VTI and Amazon are for sure the top two that I'm focusing on here. And let me say this as well, guys. I'm not looking to buy new stocks here. This is not like a Liberation Day crash where we had great values opening up across the board. I don't see individual stocks right now. Yeah, we saw a decent drop Friday, but I'm still not seeing a lot of value out there. So it's not like I'm going out and I'm buying a bunch of new stocks now that were crashing. I'm just adding to my existing positions. Again, VTI, Amazon, and we'll talk about some more here. And let's say, for example, we did drop another 10% on the S&P or something, or 5% even. All right, maybe I will open up some new positions if the price looks right, but I don't think we're there yet. So I'm also looking to buy more NVO here, which is one that I have been adding, slowly over the last 2 months. I have some shares, call options. I started buying in the mid-high 40s, so I'm looking to add more NVO here, longer term play. I own shares, like I said, call options. So looking to I don't know about more call options, but looking to buy more shares. But I'm also looking at this and I'm like, we are not yet fully breaking out. That's the reality. NVO at this point is getting rejected at, this trend line here. So it's like this might go lower in the short term. I might wait to get a lower price. But man, once that cleanly breaks this channel, this is going to go nuts. We're going to fly, and I don't know where it's going to go, but that's going to be exciting. So that's NVO, and I'm also buying more DeFi technologies, which I get a lot of questions on. Stas, what's going on with DeFi? It's crashing. And listen, man, this is a very speculative stock. It is what it is, very speculative stock, but not nearly as speculative as others out there. I think it's very undervalued, We broke down the numbers. Let me actually get some water. Cheers, by the way, guys. We broke down the numbers in the video where I went over why I bought DeFi Technologies. We're not going to get too deep into that in this video, but man, they have almost $1 billion of assets under management. They're growing very nicely. And it's insane that their market cap is literally like 700 million now, or maybe less than that. So they're trading super cheaply. And the thing is with smaller cap companies, guys, before, this is the reality. Before big money moves in, it could be a flat stock for a while, you know? I mean, it used to be $4 or $5 not too long ago, and I've been watching this for months, right? And I finally bought, a couple weeks ago, and now I'm looking at it like I'm gonna accumulate more, and I know this is a speculative position going into it, so I'm not gonna make it a huge position. I know what I'm getting into, but I believe in this company. I really do. I believe in the management team. And, the chart doesn't look the best. That's the reality. We do have a descending triangle. We could be going to the 180s, 190s, guys. Be ready for that, especially as crypto's crashing. Crypto's getting annihilated right now. This might see a little more downside, but I'm looking to add more, man, because, again, they're growing. The numbers are strong. They look really good. We're not going to get too deep into the numbers right now, but when it comes to just a crypto play, a DeFi play. They're growing like a weed in Europe, guys, with their ETPs. They're getting their hands into sovereign finance right now with SoFi, not to be confused with SoFi. We're talking SoFi, SOVFI. DeFi Alpha, the trading arm of their business, is growing nicely, very nicely. So yeah, high risk, high reward play. It's a $2 stock. I could see this being a $10 stock. That's what I'm in this for. And I got sidetracked. We'll wrap it up here. But when institutional money moves in, that's what really moves stocks like these, right? You can be in these hidden gems, if you will, for a while, and they don't do anything. And you're like, Stas, what is going on here? This company has great numbers, cheap, good valuation. Why isn't it moving? Because the big money hasn't come in yet. They don't see the opportunity yet, or the company's too small for them to invest in. But it's one of those where I'm gonna sit on it a little bit. It's not one of those where I'm gonna buy it and then next month it goes to the moon. This is one that I'm buying. I'm putting it in the filing cabinet a little bit. It's a smaller position, so I don't have to nitpick it and get all worried about it if it's a huge like a huge position, because I'm putting it in the filing cabinet because I'm waiting for that big money to really start to come in, which I think will come in at some point. When will it come in? I don't know, but I believe in the company and I think it will be. I said a $10 stock. I'm just throwing, that sounds like a good number. I don't know if it's going to go to 10, but it's one of those that I think could be a multi-bagger, or else I wouldn't be buying it, right? Why would I be buying a smaller volatile stock if I'm only going to make 10% on it or something, right? This isn't a Coca-Cola, guys. This is one that I think could be a multi-bagger. But yeah, trade at your own risk, guys. That's DeFi Technologies, and that's pretty much all I'm buying. DEFT, Amazon, VTI, little bit of Novo, not really as much of Novo. I'd rather buy more DeFi Technologies right now over Novo Nordics, to be honest, but those are the four main ones I'm looking at. I just sold out of my Nike puts, made a good profit on those, so that raised even more cash. So I have a decent cash position right now, guys, and I'm looking to take advantage. I'm looking to take advantage, but I'm also aware that this could go lower. So what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe, do all that. Make sure to join the Patreon if you want to keep up with my moves in my portfolio. We post 2 updates a week, early in the week, end of the week, and really whenever we make moves in there. Real-time updates, are followed by the moves, right? And we post that in the Discord chat on Patreon as well. So if you want to be a part of the community, guys, see how I build out the portfolio, check it out. Link down below. Also in the comment section. I'll see you guys there. Peace out.